Welcome back to some Beyond All Reason. Now, contrary to popular belief, I didn't uninstall every game on my computer to play D4 for a day. Believe it or not. Though most people, I think, assume that. But there's a new season, new patch, new commander update. And I never really planned to stop making videos, doing commentary. But there's been a lot going on. I know this is going to sound... but a lot going on. Starcraft, of course. Working on a lot of stuff around Stormgate. If you haven't yet checked out my video, there's more coming. And more discussion to be had as well on that front. But honestly, I never really wanted to stop doing videos for Beyond All Reason. I just, you know, it takes a lot of brain power. But people need something to watch while they're playing D4 and pretending to be productive. So, this is actually one of my first games of the new season. Yes, Season 0 and Beyond All Reason. A new map, Acendancy, the big-ass mountain over there. I actually really love the look of it, too. Like a darker winter map for a darker winter time. But it is kind of a lane map. And this game is not a short one, I believe. I'm not even entirely... I think it actually ends up as a loss, but... I do remember it. I've also tested out some new widgets and stuff. We'll go over it. I did drop the ball. I didn't plan on stopping videos, but just there's only so many hours in the day. And whenever I don't want to just put the time in, I want to make it worth it and make your day a little bit better. So, like, subscribe. If we get 420 likes on this video, I will feel very bad if I don't make another one. So, at the least. But I want to first talk about, so there's the new commander update is how we're selling it with the new season. Commanders now have 4K HP, I believe is the number. Yeah, 4K, up from like 3,500. They don't regen out of combat nearly as quickly. Most units will regen out of combat after a little while. Well, I'm going to go to my player camera for a bit, but you guys tell me if that gets to be... Because I have a tendency to zoom in and out a lot. I've started... So I have a Logitech mouse, though I'm sure there's plenty of technology to do this. I've moved the middle mouse to one of the side buttons, which actually... Let's... I don't know why I was looking in the distance, but that allows me... Probably Alt-Tab. To do this. So instead of hitting the middle mouse, which I really hate hitting the scroll wheel, right? I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one, but I'd rather use the side mouse button for it. But you can't actually bind those directly in bar mouse buttons, but of course you can kind of work around it that way. So, where was I? Oh yeah, the commander update. Commanders now, they're immune to D-Gun, which has some interesting implication. No longer do you just trade out. That has created some very interesting scenarios when it comes to commander dropping, especially on this map in particular. But we're going to ignore my teammate. This is all about me. Just what you want in an 8v8 game. Intense narcissism. And the commander no longer takes bonus damage to light laser turrets. Before, 2 laser turrets pretty much could kill a commander pretty reliably, especially if it didn't D-gun either of them. Now the commander can pretty easily stride right through it. So in general, the idea, possibly the most important, commander is now only worth 1250 metal. So that kind of undercuts a lot of I'm gonna blow up my own commander to fuel my economy cannibalism builds, as well as making it less punishing if you do end up losing it. So I think most of the ideas are good. There's still a little bit of weirdness around the commander dropping because of the lack of ability to D-gun, but I do like the idea. Oh my, I didn't see this in the game. All right, well, you can D-gun everything else. Very important to note. Okay. Well, good conversation. Of course, I picked Ferryman. So, overall, the commander more of a frontline fighting unit. So I want to take a second and talk about my widgets. We got some fancy new widgets. There's a new widgets channel on the Discord. I'm actually going to go over this real quick. I spent a lot of time on the last stream going over several things. Attack range, build ETA, and health bars. All of those, like, I could make a little guide on them, but they're kind of something that you should at least get the basics on yourself, because you do have to download a file, copy paste, edit in Notepad++, kind of stuff like that. But the thing I'm most proud of, which was actually the simplest when I figured it out, was increasing the size of the ETA, so you can kind of see what's building alongside those health bars. Still tweaking the health bars. But the unit range, as you see here, this is the, it's been renamed. It used to be like weapon range. It's now attack range, if you're looking in the widgets, which gives you an idea when those units are selected of the general attack range there. We can go to my camera for a moment to see that. I've set it to have a little bit of an outline there. Each unit has one, and then it has kind of a condensed version when you have multiple units together. Helps give you an idea. And if there are different units with different ranges, it does the same. So anyways, flatten it out. In the middle of the map, there's three value mexes. So those are the most valuable ones on the map in general. There's also some reclaim around, where you can pick up a ton of metal early on. But as is my usual, at least kind of the style I've fallen into, we're going to sit and draw fire. Okay, that's the objective, as well as I can. Here we got one of the, what is the name of this thing? The Dragon's Maw, the flamethrower turret. As well as constantly trying to keep them busy. I'm also looking, this is one of my first games back. Did take a couple weeks, so trying to remember and check for any major mistakes when it comes to the macro. Honestly, out in the middle of the map like this, I'm always debating, do I want to put another bot lab up further? So that way I can produce units a lot closer to the front. Of course, that runs the risk of being overrun, especially because clearly I'm fighting. I do have one teammate, but overall it is a tenuous position, to say the least. Trying to get a heavy laser turret. Heavy laser turret outranges rocket bots, but it doesn't have particularly high DPS, and it takes quite a while to build. And that's the issue we're facing there. So at this stage, I feel like I'm probably going to lose mid. I'm continually building. Now, you can comment on the asymmetry of my base and the wind turbines and all that. But when I watch your wind turbines all die in a line because you made a perfectly spaced city skyline space. Well. Oh yeah, new announcer voice, new AI voice. So they now have the functionality to, you can potentially have different, essentially, announcer packs, which has some interesting implications in the future. But you can check that out just with, I mean, over here. But at this stage, I think the best opportunity, because I'm seeing, well, you just try to build up your economy as best you can. And I actually want to compare it to the other team, because right now I'm sitting at about 700 energy income, which is okay. So in order to go to tier 2, a baseline, I think, compared to yellow has 1100, red has 560. In order to go to tier 2, I think a good baseline is at least, well, like the very bare minimum is like 400 or 500 energy production. Energy makes everything work. If you don't have that, it doesn't even matter if you have the metal, really. So I'm there, but at this point it's a debate on when to go tier 2, because getting the lab and spending all that metal to get it isn't necessarily going to be ideal. So instead I'm holding the line here, building My thought is to stop the bleeding so they don't get outflanked at bot. There's also some interesting implications on this map, apparently. The ice down here increases the speed, you can see in the bottom left, of hovercraft by 140%, tanks by 120%. So Twitch chat told me it increased speed by 10%. Okay, there were some very adamant players in Twitch chat. To which, you know, I didn't really verify it, but it's actually 120, 140. Which is kind of huge, and bots are slightly slower, so that is hover zone. So you'll see a lot of hovercraft down there. And my teammate shared T2. So of course the most difficult thing for me as a StarCraft player is social interaction. Which is why I like to sit here talking to myself instead of ever talking to my teammates. But, I mean you, dear viewer. Oh, grunts versus thugs. And also, I've been tweaking the health bars. They might need some work. I don't know if there's a way to make the health bars smaller per unit. I think there is. But this is kind of a testing phase. Clearly, in that scenario, it's not ideal, as the health bars for both sets of units are overlapping heavily. But I still very much like the larger health bars. Just need some tweaking. Well, so this went horribly. I tried to fight like 20 thugs with like 50 grunts, which I thought it would go okay, not great. It did not go okay. It went very poorly. I know I'm all about the thug life, okay? As you know. But in this case, I was like, well, maybe flanking damage is enough. No, not even close. So my teammate did give me tier 2. We didn't work it out before that. He just kind of handed me it. So, working on those advanced extractors. I noticed there's a lock coveted up top. Yellow also got by here. So things, overall, not great. I think at this phase of the game, well, what I really need is tier 2. Desperately. You need to have the best chance for Cortex here. Is, in my opinion, I just assume everything's in my opinion. I have a tendency to do that, like, well, in my opinion, from my experience, like, obviously. I'm not trying to speak with authority like I'm the best player ever, but I can only use my experience and what others have pointed out or shown me, either by killing me in game or recommended, stuff like that. Anyways. I'm just describing the human experience now, which this game is devoid of them. Actually, I think technically humans are piloting, like, I forget which one. Some of them have humans and some of them have clones, like AI. Either way, robots. Tier 2. So the best way for Cortex to stave off, especially this early aggression, you can see the mortars coming in. Those are Sheldons, which are glass cannons. But they are cannons. Those Sheldons, when they build up in number, just create the saturation fire. That's almost impossible to deal with. So at this point, I'm trying to get my tier 2 metal extractors. Commander still hanging out, so if you look here, there's actually this high ground. So they can't actually see the commander up there. So we can build like radar and stuff like that. Clearly having a tough time, but yeah, the radar can see everything down there. Very hard for units on the low ground, so the commander's pretty safe on that little hill. Maybe a good place for artillery. I usually shy away from artillery because it's so expensive, like the emplacements. Let me find a unit. Especially the tier 1. I think the tier 2 is actually really solid, but tier 1 is very expensive for what it is. 1,300, which is about half your it's about half of your tier 2 lab. So the tier 2 artillery, yeah, this is actually more range. So this one's Armada. This creates some interesting implications, by the way. Like so often, it's not Cortex or Armada, and honestly, I think mixing and matching should probably be even more prevalent. I'd imagine, and from what I've seen of like the competitive 4v4 and stuff like that, it's pretty common practice to have both. Like, I'm actually building a tier 2, no, that's tier 2 Cortex. But Armada has cheaper fusion reactors, cheaper in metal, whereas Cortex, it's cheaper in energy, like significantly so. Cortex, and of course they both have completely different sets of units. I'm coming through with a big tank. Oh yeah, he's got the Tsar. The Tsar is indeed a big tank. It also is a friendly fire machine, but he actually gave me a warning. And honestly, in this exact scenario, the Tsar is quite good against the Sheldons. Because it just has so much HP. It also is a very satisfying tank to watch. So it does, what is that, 4,100 damage? So it's gonna kill anything it hits over here. In a pretty wide radius. Yeah. 4,100 I think is a direct hit. And it has a significant AoE. So, if I'm able to protect it, you just gotta be very careful. You can see there, the Tsar hitting some of those grunts. But against the Sheldons, especially early tier 2, the Tsar ends up being almost unbeatable. Like, there's nothing that's going to damage it enough before it can get repaired or retreat. So. Also very satisfying to watch. I like the Tsar. Though I rarely go Cortex vehicles tier 2 because the bot lab is just so good. But I think in this case, the specific scenario is just, honestly, I just stay at range, use radar jammers, distract it with grunts and such. It's not like a tier 3 unit, it's essentially a small artillery piece. Yeah, at this stage, I'm looking at my energy. I do want to compare. I'm only at 900, so I really should be having a fusion. The other team, we actually have more energy than the other team. Yeah, so, okay. Public service announcement. Don't build your wind turbines like this. Looks cool, right? If you have 3 wind turbines together, the chain reactions will be enough to chain through all of your wind turbines. Which is why you'll see a lot of players build wind turbines either like this, or with the automatic spread from pressing Alt-Z while you got it selected. So that if you have even a 1-space spread, prevents them from chain reacting across the entire map. Which is very satisfying for whoever hits them. But yeah, that's a very common... I'll go with mistake. Alright, adding the fusion reactor. Prioritizing, by the way, the Armada builder, because the Armada builder has that fusion. For the cost is 4,300, 2,100. Alright, keep that number in mind. Do I have a Cortex builder around? Does anybody have a Cortex? There's gotta be someone with a Cortex builder. Here we go. 4,500, 2,600. So, it's 200 less metal. The Cortex Fusion produces 1,100. The Armada is 1,000, but it is a little less metal. I'm not sure if there's an HP difference between the fusion reactors, actually. Oh, we missed. So I cloaked and sacrificed my commander to kill an entire group of... what is that? Magenta? Hot pink? I like hot pink. So, anyways, he came through the north side, and there were no defenses there because I was so focused on the south. So I had to use the commander. Also adding in some shurikens here, because shurikens can turn the tide outright with their EMPs and their stuns. Usually you get one good wave of shurikens. Like, we're well entrenched, right, into the mid-game here. Both sides have a pretty solid setup, like, in how they're going to handle this. By the way, I'm actually going to turn off... I've been looking for options on this, because I want to know the range of my enemy's turrets, but only like in the early game. Past that, like it just, well, you can see over there. It becomes yeah, those are all the enemy ground turrets. So.
The commander has fallen.
But the shurikens are, at this point, I've broken Hot Pink's push with my commander. Red is building up to a much better army composition. So, if there's ever going to be an opportunity to push back. Also, I noticed we're losing the top lane. Got a spy bot coming in, self-destruct. Definitely fat-fingered that. It was too late. Would have been very nice to have there. A bit of an EMP. Oh yeah, the fiends spreading out. Just drawing fire from the Sheldons. And I pull back the Sheldons. So when it comes to the auto groups, I put frontline on 1. I don't think you can see my control groups in the replay here, unfortunately. But I put frontline on 1. Grunts, fiends, sumos, if I end up building them, which is kind of rare. We got range on 2, just like generally range DPS. Hounds, Sheldons, stuff like that. I usually put my radar and my radar bots and jammers on 2 as well. 3 is for specialty units like shurikens. I use 4 for combat engineers and sometimes res bots, though sometimes I split off the res bots into another group because sometimes they have different roles, like combat engineers maybe are building construction turrets and stuff. Stuff like so. Completely lost my train of thought. And then 5. What is on 5? I'm gonna remember. Oh, 5 is production. So yes, you can set up your production via either the dock on the right or just by repeating, but I can't get out of the habit from StarCraft of having my production on 5. So I just select it from there. Same with 6. 6 is my secondary production, like an air plant or experimental gantry, stuff like that. 7 is anti-air. So all anti-air related things. 8 is another specialty group, but like one that isn't used as much. Whether it's resbots or it's like sometimes I hockey Junos on it, the Juno launchers. Occasionally it'll be things like bombers. 9 is for missile launchers, static defense, essentially buildings that need a hotkey. For the most part. And then 0 is what I put the control group for all my other specialty units that might need their own control group. I auto hotkey spy bots there. Any of the stealthy units go there as well. I guess spy bots are a stealthy unit. But yeah, pretty much it all gets jammed on 0, so that way I can press it and just select from that group. And I'm all out of control groups. This is the first game I can reliably say I've used all of the control groups. And in fact, I wish there were 20. Like, let me do like Control-Alt-2 or something. In Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition, they have 20 control groups, which I never ended up using. But I could actually see myself using another 10 control groups in bot. Anyway, here come the shurikens. So I like to use the fight command, because that kind of keeps them spread out. They'll fight whatever's nearby. If you attack, I haven't had as much success with the attack command. The fight command, just if you spread them out and then fight command, they will kind of stutter step like this. And it actually allows us to push forward. Disabling even half, especially the back line, is like, well, think about it this way. You're at a stalemate. You both got 30 units on each side. You disable even 10 of those units, and suddenly his teammate comes in and saves the day, because otherwise we would have pushed through and potentially actually turned the game around. But yeah, I almost have a Titan, which is good of him to warn us that that's what's happening, but the Titans are very cool. Ooh, Juggernauts are also very cool. Not the quickest creatures, not, I think when everybody's in the late game, and like everybody's looking at tier 3, then things like Juggernauts, like the Juggernaut can be good. But when it's still a very pitched mid-game battle like this, the Juggernaut is a bit of a reach. For the price of a Juggernaut, you can build like 3 fusion reactors for one, advanced fusion reactors, and a whole lot more. I do think, especially when it comes to Cortex, the best tier 3 unit to really kind of get things going is the Shiva, because the Shiva has a couple cannons on the front, and it also has the long-range rocket launcher, so it's like a combination of a tank and a artillery piece, and it's relatively cheap at about 1,700 metal. You get like 12 of those for the cost of a Juggernaut. I'm not sure if a Juggernaut, well, if in a straight-up fight with no support, I'm pretty sure the Shivas win, but so this was a pretty great run through here. Yes, lo and behold, Mr. Juggernaut needs metal. Who would have thought? So if you're gonna go Juggernaut, you better have at least, like, over 100 metal income. And at least 10k energy. Otherwise, you're a liability. Right now, he's actually got 81 metal income, but only 4.7k energy, so... And without the energy, you can't power a lot of the other stuff. Like, you know, other unit production. So I use this as... I don't expect to break through, but I've got my Resbot group. As you can see, that reclaim field widget. The Resbot group grabbing... And that's why it's so important, too. Instead of going for the power unit, it's important to have units to actually fight. Because right now, I'm reclaiming almost the entire price of a Juggernaut in metal on the field. Which, the only reason I'm able to do that is because I actually made units. More metal, please. So that way, well, I am maxed out on metal, as you can see. 7k. So I can fund Hotshot's Juggernaut habits. Which I'm happy enough to do because he's already so committed. Like, it's better to help your teammate down a bad path than it is to try to stop them. Because it's like, in this case, I literally had, I'm trying to manage the economy. I'm trying some new things. Well, I've set up some new hotkeys for selecting constructors. I'm messing around with some of the widgets for being able to move the constructors around. I'm really liking it, but it's going to take some work. It's going to take some practice. So, I'll keep you updated, hopefully, unless I get lazy. But, subscribe, like, subscribe. Yeah, like I said, it's not that I don't like the game, but I think like any RTS, it is draining. It is hard, because honestly, the fact that I've never played a team game for so long in my life. I've never been able to play. You might be... I guess the closest thing is Planet Suck, which I did not play all day, but instead on a occasional basis for a couple hours. But actually playing a game with other people that you have to both rely on and help out, I think it's a testament to the game itself. Now, the implications are also as good and bad sides, but I will tell, like, and this is the most team of team games. 8v8 is unheard of in RTS. It is just not done. 4v4 already melts the Pentium 3 computers that most people play StarCraft 2 on in 4v4. Age of Empires 4v4 is also a disaster piece. Like, in a fun way, but 8v8 is actually kind of ridiculous. And people are exploring more and more of the resource sharing of, I do think at some point there's gonna need to be some executive decision. Remember, the game is made by you for you. And by that I mean the few developers have put a ton of work in. So I heard a big explosion. The classic zoom out. Take a moment. I believe I'm gonna reenact my reaction real quick for you guys. To that moment. Oh yeah. It appears that that was a similar one. He's got a few Shivas to support the job. My intent here, when I found that big juicy field of metal, that I earned, by the way, with the shurikens and the push through, was to go to tier 3, get some Shivas out, push back the front line, and then another part of it that I don't think we get to at all in this game. Another part of it is then go for late game air. Get some bombing runs in. Find another... I did build some bombers. In fact, that's what's happening up there. Yeah. I've got some bombers. I like just having that. Like, it's something for me to do. Because at some point, the lines don't move very fast. And you can maybe do a little target fire, but I think the best opportunity is to use my not small APM to... of course, you got to be nailing down the economy. The economy isn't perfect. Need more advanced fusions. Need better balance. That's part of why I made the ETA timers there. I made them so much larger because it becomes very apparent when your build is stalling out or it's just taking too long. So I was just blindly firing at the fusion. Doesn't work out. The idea was there. The execution. So AK, I want to do more of that stuff. That was about a quarter-assed attempt. It's not half-assed, it was a quarter-assed. So we gotta pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers. But the idea's there. Like I know what I want in the later game. But getting there is another story, as this has been quite a siege. Let's see. The damage so that's another one, like the damage efficiency. Oh, the metal production as well. So remember, I have not been focusing too much on my economy, but it's all about that reclaim. That's one of my favorite parts of the game. How important it is to fight and win and control parts of the map, both for the resources that are already there, from metal extractors, and the resources you create by blasting your opponents to bits. There's also, of course, the resurrect mechanic and all that. But I really do like the Shivas. I'm gonna turn off. I notice, yeah, the zoom gets a little intense. I don't notice it while I'm playing, but I do acknowledge it's probably not great for spectating, so I'm just gonna turn on my view so you can only see the line of sight. So, I'd like to pretend I didn't see the give me 3 constructors green, but I did. And I don't say anything, but my thoughts are, if you are starting from the bottom at this stage of the game, which you, unless he's talking to my, oh my god. Okay, well, that's a few too many okay, so a general rule for construction turrets, they give you about 200 build power apiece. The very rough rule is about 1 construction turret for every 10 or so metal income. Of course, it depends, right? The motto, but it depends. But there is definitely such a thing as too many. You've wasted the resources, they're just not going to get the job done, and they're going to stretch your resources even more thinly. So, I'd say, until you have true late game economy, you shouldn't have over 10 or so construction turrets working at all. Certainly not... Let's see if I can just go to his vision. What's that number? That is 78. Holy shit. What the wow, they really add up fast, don't they? Yeah, there's no way. You'd need, like, several thousand metal income in order to use all those at once. They're actually quite good at their jobs. Like, finding a balance in the right amount of constructor/construction turrets is a huge part of, like, the individual part of the game. Probably gonna res my big boy. Oh, he did lose the... He lost the Juggernaut to a D-gun, by the way. That's why you don't hear it anymore. Yeah. So D-gun, because it stands for Disintegration Gun. It disintegrates anything in its path, except for other commanders at the moment. Which is literal in the sense that it no longer... you can't res it, you can't reclaim it, it's just gone. The same is true if you self-destruct units. Once again, besides the very special commander. It's not going to have the... it doesn't leave behind a wreck. Ah, yes. I'm explaining words now in the chat. Very important. I'm big on words. I've got great words. I hope you guys agree. Has a lot of Shivas. So overall, honestly, I could have managed my economy a lot better. Gotten to tier 3 quicker. I probably should have lent some support to bot because that's the game. That's the game, all right? You're here. Some players are going to be a bit more stable than others. It's okay that you're not an expert at the game. That's something I know, like, I always am conscious of that because I'm not an expert either. But usually the best I can muster is not blaming. Okay? Unless they're actively trying to make the game harder for everyone. Some people are trying this crazy thing called having fun, which, you know, is usually not very efficient. And is not recommended. But I don't think most people are intending on making it a bad experience. They just, you know, have not played as many games. So, but like I said, usually the best I can muster is passive, kind of occasionally helping. Though I try. I'm worrying about myself right now, especially because tanks are now passing by into. I thought I was safe. I thought I was safe from the front to put my fusions down here. Well, I was. Unfortunately, I think to play this map again, I'd probably put them back here somewhere. But yeah, so it does get a little out of hand. Shivas are holding. Allocating build power as well is very important. Oh yeah, the catapult's one of my favorite units, also one of the most micro-intensive. I pretty much always put them on return fire or hold fire and then set target, which means they'll fire at ground and not at the first grunt that comes by. That is a big mistake with especially the catapult. I think it's punished more than almost any other unit if you just leave it on auto attack, because I joke about friendly fire machines, but it's literally launching a massive salvo of I don't know how many rockets. Can I see how many rockets? The big catapult rockets. They do 600. Or, I don't know. It's a lot of rockets. So, those, they don't have great accuracy. It's much easier to just aim at the general area you want to coat with rocket fire. So at this point, the game, I just don't have it. Like, I can hold, but I gotta learn to push back. And right now, I'm out of practice. So, they held the line in mid. The key is, in my opinion, well, both. It's mostly more shit counters less shit. You know, the classic macro adage. But also, economy management, but also, like, picking the right timings. You can get twice as much income, but if you're still 5 minutes late to tier 3. The same issue is going tier 3 too early. Tier 2 is usually pretty intuitive once you play enough games, but tier 3... Like, tier 3 units aren't necessarily a huge upgrade over tier 2. It depends, yet again. Like, you can't just slap a Juggernaut onto the field and call it a day. contrary to semi-popular belief. You can't just rush into a Ragnarok or something, except on maybe Supreme Strait, which I have almost a phobia of after my GPU melting. Oh yeah, my teammate left, so I took his gantry and built some rattlesnakes. Am I still? Those are razorbacks, right? Not rattlesnakes. They sound like. Listen to them. There is. So the Armada pop-up turret is actually called the rattlesnake. I think because it kind of looks like one. But oh yeah, the trimmer. So apparently, I didn't look at all the little buffs outside of the commander itself, but the tremor now has, I think it's more AoE. So the tremor may have gone from a F tier to like a D tier unit. I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to take a look. But so what do you guys want to see though, as we get to my dramatic final stand, where, you know, I like winning. I like ranking up. I like putting my bot lab on repeat and accidentally building a few dozen extra 55 construction bots. But sometimes it is just about playing. And these I do like these kind of games. I'm sure there's several players on my team who did not. But the constant struggle back and forth. Oh yeah, D-Gun and the Juggernaut. Some vengeance there. But at this stage, you're gonna have a tough time. But it's good to be back. I do enjoy it. I get salty, I get tilted. I get cynical. I get dramatic. But hopefully, I get your continued viewership. I hope you enjoy. Game's still very fun. Stormgate, believe it or not going to be tomorrow, next week, week after. And honestly, as you guys have probably seen by now, it is not going to be. It is a lot closer to StarCraft than Beyond All Reason. Though I was really hoping we'd see, if there's one thing, I don't have any insider info on this, but if there's one thing I'd love from Beyond All Reason in Stormgate, it is the drag formations. The ability to hold right click and set up a line of attack. And now you'll definitely have like StarCraft pros and backseat pros arguing like that takes away from the skill cap. But I'm honestly, I don't think individually moving units to spread them out is a huge demonstration. Like, it is a lot of the micro in StarCraft 2, but it's also a big part of the barrier to entry, in my opinion. It's one of the coolest parts of BAR, is being able to maneuver your units so easily and focus more on why or what you're building, as opposed to exactly how you're moving them around. More of the strategic than the tactical in that case. Not that I'm not spending a ton of time microing anyways, but GG on that other side there. Well done. Cisco was a strong opponent, made it very tough, and his teammates came in behind him. Look at that Shiva production. Oh my god. Is that a Shiva every 10 seconds? Now this is when you have the construction tab. What is his economy right now? He's at 19k with 300 metal. There you go. Look at that beautiful base. Is there anti-nuke? Now imagine one bombing run. What? Well, unfortunately, I was never able to imagine that. There's constant anti-air coming across. But the tag team duo, metal produced. I tried. I think I did a pretty good job of keeping up. Pretty good game from me. Gonna take a bit to get back into the groove of things. New update definitely shaking things up. But hopefully you enjoy. So, thank you guys again for watching. I hope you tune in for more videos, stream. Make sure to check out BAR. It's free. Costs you nothing but maybe a little bit of your sanity. But that's all of us every day. Thank you for watching. I hope I made your day a little bit better. See you next time. Good luck. Have fun. Stay unreasonable.